President Trump is now floating the idea of postponing the presidential election.
And the president tweeted, quote, "With universal mail-in voting, 2020 will be the most inaccurate and fraudulent election in history. It will be a great embarrassment to the USA. Delay the election until people can properly, securely, and safely vote," unquote. Only Congress has the power to change an election date, and the Senate Majority Leader says that won't happen.
Never in the history of the country, through wars, depressions, and the Civil War, have we ever not had a federally scheduled election on time, and we'll find a way to do that again this November 3rd.
But elections need to happen, and there's no reason why this one can't happen when it's supposed to happen in September and November.
I want to bring in WBZ political editor John Keller right now. John, we know the president is not a fan of mail-in voting. Was this, though, a surprise today?
I wasn't surprised. I'm sure maybe some people were, but the president has been ambiguous about whether he'd accept the outcome of the election in the fall and has, as you noted, hammered away on the whole issue of mail-in voting. You noticed the 3 question marks at the end of the tweet. That signals that this was a trial balloon. He threw it against the wall to see if any of it would stick. So we'll see if any of it sticks, Lisa.
Yeah, John, I was going to ask you, what's the motivation here? I mean, it may just be a trial balloon. What does he want to achieve? Does he want to see if people are going to go for this?
Well, that's a great question. Look, it could be a combination of things. Faced with erosion of core supporters, really for the first time in his term, the president may think this will inflame them and shore up his base. They've always responded before when he's claimed the system is rigged, right? He's also known to use distraction as a tactic. If we're talking about this, if we're talking about Confederate monuments, we're not talking about the pandemic. But I think the thing to keep in mind always, Lisa, is Donald Trump is a self-marketer. Even if just a fraction of his 84 million Twitter followers go with him after he leaves office, should that happen next January, and they're bound to him by grievance over his loss, well, that's a real nice customer base for him to market to.
Yeah, we heard Mitch McConnell say it's not going to happen. Do you think the president, though, expected a different response?
You know, if he did, I think he was sorely mistaken. McConnell is definitely the Republican to watch in these situations over the next few weeks, Lisa. He's been publicly breaking from Trump lately on things like mask wearing. The polls show the president's slide is dragging down the Senate, the Republican control of the Senate. And if you think Mitch McConnell's going to sit around and let that happen, I really think you need to rethink it.
All right, John Keller joining us live today on the show. John, thank you.